Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's bird video, doing European outlook for today's bird video. So as was on a Thursday, we're having a look at the weather for next week to 10 days in detail for Europe, and I shall get on with that for you very shortly. Just say about the first video released today was our 7 AM forecast. We also have released a USA forecast again, so that's redone after yesterday's little disaster, so check out the USA forecast if you'd like to do that. I'm going to 10 to 14 day, which will include all of the regular features coming up for you this afternoon. So busy old day at GavsWeatherVids Day. Please like, share, subscribe on all of the videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, okay, let's get on with European outlook then. So this would be situation across Europe today. A bit of a messy picture. We've got high pressure reaching down from the Arctic into Scandinavia. And that's pulling quite cold air into the far northeast of Europe from the Arctic. Got an area of low pressure over Denmark and northern parts of Germany, moving in towards the Baltic Sea. Down into the Med, summer goes on, really. It looks pretty warm down there. And we've got a ridge sort of through the western part of Europe that's been omnipresent through the past few weeks. But is weakening, you know, has weakened compared to the first week of September when it brought really hot weather to much of western Europe. So low pressure in the Atlantic, you know, is sort of trying to get its act together and move in. And just a little bit more mobility trying to get going in the Atlantic. The upper air temperatures look like that. So yes, it is cold across many parts of Scandinavia and into far northeast Europe and the northwest of Russia. Genuinely cold, -5 Celsius isotherm there up in the Arctic. Going further southwards, it's hot though through eastern, southeastern Europe and hot through much of the Mediterranean. Got another push of heat coming out of Africa into southern Italy and over the Adriatic into the far southeastern part of Europe and into Med as well. So we've had so many of those heat sort of pushes from Africa this summer. Got another one of those going on here in the middle of September. Further north and west, temperatures are about average, a little bit above average probably for many parts of West Europe, Ireland, UK, France, Low Countries, Germany. You know, pretty warm the upper air temperatures through there. Precipitation-wise, so there's quite a lot of dry weather over Scandinavia with that ridge of high pressure. Southern Scandinavia, like to Denmark into southern Sweden, we have got some heavy rain through there, and they extend in towards the northeast of Europe as well. Then we find this cluster of heavy showers and thunderstorms from southern France through the Alps in towards parts of southern Poland, perhaps to the south and east of that. That marks the boundary, you know, between cooler air in the north and the hot air still in the south. So on the southern eastern side of that, which does include most of the Mediterranean, actually, it's mainly dry, hot and sunny. And then out in the west, Ireland for the UK too, and all parts of France and the Low Countries, reasonable amount of dry weather today. Temperature-wise, cold in the north of Europe, cold temperatures digging in over Scandinavia and into the far northeast. Hot through the Balkans to the Black Sea, and then southwards to Greece and Turkey. Much of the Mediterranean looking very warm to hot, and pretty warm coming up the western side of Europe as well, with temperatures at least into the low, if not the mid-20s Celsius, across much of France, for example. Right, we move on into Friday. That high pressure goes on across Scandinavia. It keeps things pretty cold up there in the far north of Europe. Low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic in towards the UK and to Ireland. Otherwise, got quite slack gradients here across many parts of Europe. Upper air temperatures look cold in the far north, otherwise relatively warm, particularly hot through the Mediterranean and into the southeastern corner of Europe. Further showers and thunderstorms pushing eastwards from Poland in towards Ukraine as we get on into tomorrow. Some thunderstorms breaking out in the Balkans as well and around Italy too. So south and east of that, mainly dry, hot and sunny. Most of central, western part of the Mediterranean also looking mostly dry. Scandinavia is mainly dry under that area of high pressure. And then we've got a weakening weather system coming in off the Atlantic, bringing rain to Ireland, but struggling to get much further westwards. Temperature-wise, cold over Scandinavia, temperatures into single digits in many areas. Still hot, though, in the Mediterranean, through Med, looking pretty hot, and into southeast of Europe as well. And relatively warm, certainly above average, across much of Western Europe, France, and Western Germany, and also the Low Countries, looking pretty warm. Many parts of England pretty warm as well. Right on into Saturday. That high pressure is really trying to take over across Scandinavia, strengthening and turning wind into the east across much of northern Europe, blocking the progress of these areas of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Our temperatures look really quite cool for much of northern and northeastern Europe. As those easterly winds are developing, that cool air is beginning to spread out a little bit across other northern parts of Europe, but at the same time it's losing, you know, the depth of coolness or coldness across across northern Scandinavia. Actually, into western Russia, though, still cold, -5 Celsius iceberg through there. Down into the Med, it's hot through most parts of the Mediterranean and pretty warm still across the western part of Europe, somewhere between summer and autumn for the UK, for example. Precipitation-wise, on Saturday, most of northern Europe looks dry under that area of high pressure. Heavy rain through much of northern or northeastern Europe, I should say. So, yeah, some quite wet weather through there from Poland and going towards the Ukraine as well. Coming further southwards, we've got some heavy showers and also some thunderstorms across some parts of France, in northern Spain, and also around northern Italy. Might be some snow over the Alps, and some heavy showers from the Balkans going towards the Black Sea as well. UK and Ireland, a few showers around, but mainly dry. Much of the Med looking mostly dry still on Saturday. Temperature-wise, hot in the south and pretty cool in the north and the northeast. Sunday, high pressure is again dominating over Scandinavia, pulling that wind into the east to the northeast across many eastern and northeastern parts of Europe. Low pressure still trying desperately to come in from the Atlantic into western Europe, but struggling to do so. It looks like pressure's lowering down into the Mediterranean as well. So beginning to cool down a little bit through the central bowl of the Med, but Spain's still looking quite hot, as does much of southern Italy, Greece and Turkey. Cool or quite cold in the far northeast of Europe. Norway beginning to warm up a little bit though, with more of a southwesterly wind, and generally still relatively warm on the western side of Europe with those upper air temperatures. Quite a lot of dry weather around on Sunday, certainly for northern Europe. There is some heavy rain, thunderstorms, maybe a little bit of snow through those western parts of Russia. Yes, I did say snow on the 19th of December, 19th of September, I should say. Won't be all that surprised if you flakes mixed in, especially over high ground. Cluster of heavy showers and thunderstorms here, like through northern Italy and again around Hungary, for example. Might be some big downpours there on Sunday. Some showers for western parts of the UK and perhaps more general rain in towards Ireland and the west of France. Otherwise, a lot of dry weather around on Sunday. Temperatures looking like that, so it's still pretty hot pretty much of the Med, but perhaps cooling down a little bit. Generally warm on the western side of Europe. Coolest temperatures, coldest temperatures in the north and also in the east of Europe. Monday, high pressures reaching from the Azores to Scandinavia, pulling in wind from the east across much of northern Europe. Still quite cool or cold in the far eastern part of Europe. Pressure definitely falling now across the Mediterranean, especially across France and the central bowl of the Med. However, upper air temperatures still look quite warm or hot through many parts of the Mediterranean. Relatively warm up west side of Europe. Beginning to get a little bit less cold over Scandinavia. Colder upper air temperature begin to sink southwards down this eastern side of Europe. Again, quite a bit of dry weather away from specific areas. So the far east of Europe, down towards the Black Sea, seeing some thunderstorms breaking out as those colder upper air temperatures begin to clash with the hot temperatures, you know, established over the Mediterranean. Most of the Med looking dry, but we have got some heavy showers and thunderstorms through the Bay of Biscay and in towards northern parts of Spain, and also perhaps through the central part of the Mediterranean, so the central bowl of the Med, including holiday islands like Mallorca, Minorca and Ibiza, possibly seeing some thunderstorms beginning to break out. Otherwise, lots of dry weather really across much of Europe on Monday. Relatively warm with the temperatures in the west, although where we've got those heavy showers and storms breaking out across northern Spain, for example, temperatures there are lowering. It's not as hot as it is right now through many parts of the Med, but still warm. Temperatures at least into the mid, if not the upper at 20 Celsius. The east side of Europe looking quite cold again, though. I mean, we do see a real drop in the temperature there, suggested for particularly western parts of the Ukraine. At the same time, though, it's not as cold as it has been over Scandinavia. Tuesday, very little change really. High pressure continued to dominate across much of northern and West Europe. Low pressure still desperately trying to get in from off the Atlantic, but still struggling. Lower pressure around Biscay and down in towards Spain and the Med, and then a trough of low pressure on the eastern side of Europe, again pulling in quite cold air from the northeast. Upper air temperatures show those cool upper air temperatures, or quite cold upper air temperatures in that far eastern part of Europe. Otherwise, it is getting warmer over Scandinavia with those upper air temperatures, as we begin to lift the wind back up from the south-southwest. Generally quite warm across the western part of Europe. Much of the Mediterranean looking very warm, but not as hot as it is right now. Cool down going on in the Balkans. Precipitation-wise, again, heavy rain and maybe thunderstorms over on the far east side of Europe into the southwest of Russia. A few showers breaking out, perhaps around Greece, but most areas there dry. Heavy showers and storms through much of southern France into the Bay of Biscay, affecting northern Spain and possibly increasingly through that central bowl of Mediterranean. And then most parts of western and northwest Europe looking mainly dry under the ridge of high pressure. Again, quite cold in the far east of Europe. Pretty cool over Scandinavia, but not as cold as it is right now. And then most other parts of Europe looking generally a little bit warmer than average. Mediterranean is cooling down, you'll notice, day by day. And then into Wednesday, the high pressure patch just beginning to weaken a little bit and slip back in towards the west of Russia as lower pressure is starting to move in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Low pressure sitting there over southern and eastern parts of Spain. Upper air temperatures look quite warm on Wednesday up the western side of Europe. And we're beginning to lose those colder upper air temperatures in the east of Europe as well, actually. So just a general warm-up perhaps by the middle of next week. Heavy showers and thunderstorms through France down in towards the central bowl of the Med, and affecting some parts of particularly northern Spain as well. The showers and longer spells of rain far east of Europe sort of moving into western Russia increasingly and turning drier on the east side of Europe. Some outbreaks of rain heading in towards Norway and the far northwest of Scotland. Otherwise, still the high pressure goes on, so most areas are dry. Far east of Europe continues to look pretty cold on Wednesday. Quite cool for Scandinavia. Otherwise, again, the west and the south of Europe and central areas looking mostly very warm. I made a change on Thursday next week for the west of Europe. It's a long way off, though, so it's unreliable. But high pressure then slipping back into Russia, pulling up a warmer southerly wind across Scandinavia and the central parts of Europe. At the same time, though, low pressure increasingly moving in from the Atlantic in towards the northwest of Europe. Upper air temperatures generally warming up across most parts of Europe on Thursday, with those southerly winds pushing warmer air northwards. We have got increasing amounts of heavy showers, thunderstorms and longer spells of rain developing through Spain into the Mediterranean and across much of France. Still some showers left with the trough over on the east side of Europe. Otherwise, quite a bit of dry weather, but you'll notice increasingly wet and windy weather into Ireland and the UK as well. Is the drought about to break? Maybe some heavy rain moving in towards Norway also by Thursday next week. Temperatures still quite cold over on that eastern side of Europe, warming up across Scandinavia, and particularly warm like through central areas, so through Italy into Mediterranean, looking pretty warm through there. And the western side of Europe, generally, it's still relatively warm. I'll just run you on to day 10. So this is Friday next week, 24th of September. By now, big changes are taking place. Low pressure dominates across the northwest of Europe. So the UK and Ireland has gone into much cooler, wetter and windier weather with that area of low pressure. At the same time, warmer southerly winds are pushing northwards through Poland and then on up towards Scandinavia as well, between the low pressure and the high pressure. Increasingly unsettled look to things through the Mediterranean as well, with low pressure taking over. And then into the final weekend of September, just looking generally cool and unsettled, really, much of northern and western parts of Europe. Big changes, although by day 10 a ridge is trying to build back in from the southwest. So I think that's pretty transient. And just generally getting more unsettled, I think, through most parts of Europe by the final weekend of September, and cooler as well. Although, having said that, northern northeastern Europe will be warmer, actually, with winds in from the southeast as that high pressure sits there across the northwest of Russia. Right, so an interesting week to come. Lots of contrasting weather and gradually transitioning to a more autumnal and unsettled look, I think, across much of western and southern Europe. At the same time, the cold weather we've got in the far northeast of Europe will sort of fade away through the course of next week, and things will start to get a little bit warmer up there. Right, that's it for the European Outlook for this week, man. If you enjoyed the video, please can you give it a like and make sure you subscribe to our channel as well. Thank you so much for doing that. And we're going to be back in an hour or so's time with our 10 to 14 day. That will include all of the regular features. So check that one out. But for European Outlook this week, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.